Have you ever noticed how your mind does this? You're lying in bed, trying to fall asleep, and out of nowhere your brain starts showing you everything that could go wrong tomorrow. A conversation that hasn't happened, a problem that doesn't even exist yet, a mistake you haven't made, and somehow, within seconds your heart starts racing as if it's already real. Or maybe someone you care about doesn't answer your call, and before long you've already convinced yourself that something is wrong. Not because you know it, because your mind filled in the blanks. What's crazy is, we rarely question those thoughts. We believe them. We feel them. We let them change our mood. But when we picture our dream life, making more money, building the business and becoming healthier and finding peace, our mind suddenly says, yeah, but what if it doesn't happen? Why is it that we can believe in disaster with almost no evidence, but struggle to believe in our own dreams? That one question changed the way I see the human mind. And if this knowledge is applied, it can change the way you see yours too. Imagine a homeless man standing on the corner looked you in the eyes and said, "One day I'm going to become a millionaire." Most people would laugh. Some would feel sorry for him. Others would think he'd lost his mind. But if that same man spent every single day believing he'd always be homeless, believing his life would never change, believing he'd never amount to anything, nobody would question him. Nobody would tell him, "Stop manifesting that." Nobody would say, "Why do you have so much faith that your life will never change?" They'd call him realistic. Think about how backwards that is. We've normalized believing in our fears. We've normalized mentally rehearsing failure, expecting rejection, imagining loss, and placing our faith in worst-case scenarios before they've ever happened. But the moment someone chooses to believe in a future they actually want, we call them delusional. So maybe the problem isn't that people don't have faith. Maybe we've just been placing our faith in the wrong future. Fear has become so familiar that we rarely question it. Someone says, "I'm probably going to embarrass myself." Nobody argues. Someone says, "I know they're going to reject me." Everyone nods. Someone says, "I just know something bad is going to happen." It sounds reasonable, but the moment someone says, "I believe something amazing is coming," someone says, "I believe the right opportunity is on its way," someone says, "I have a feeling this is going to go really well." The truth is, both people are doing the exact same thing. They're rehearsing a future that doesn't exist. One rehearses fear, the other rehearses success. Only one of them gets criticized for it. Here's something worth understanding. Your brain doesn't experience imagination the way you think it does. When you vividly imagine a frightening future, your emotional brain begins responding before that future ever arrives. That's one of the jobs of the amygdala. It helps your brain detect potential danger and prepare your body to respond. Your heart beats faster. Your breathing changes. Stress hormones are released. Your muscles tense. All because your brain believes something important might be happening. That's incredibly useful when there's real danger. But in modern life, many of the threats we react to exist only inside our imagination. A conversation that hasn't happened. A failure that hasn't occurred. A rejection that may never come. Yet the emotional response feels real. You've probably experienced it yourself. Lying in bed, replaying tomorrow's worst-case scenario. By the time you finally fall asleep, your body feels exhausted, not because life happened, but because your mind convinced your body that it already had. And that's the strange contradiction. We spend years practicing fear, then wonder why it feels so natural. We rehearsed it thousands of times, and after a while, we started trusting those thoughts. That's the part that most people don't realize. Fear doesn't always feel like fear. Sometimes fear sounds like being realistic. It sounds like, "I'm just being prepared." I'm just thinking ahead. I'm just making sure I don't get hurt. And because it sounds logical, we never question it. But think about how many times your mind has convinced you something was going to go wrong, and then it never happened. You spent hours stressing about a situation that ended up being completely fine. You spent days worrying about an outcome that never came. And the worst part? You don't just experience the fear once. You experience it every time you replay it in your mind. What if you started putting as much faith into your dreams as you do into your fears? Think about it. When fear whispers that everything is going to fall apart, you believe it. When fear tells you you're going to fail, you prepare for it. When fear paints a picture of the worst possible future, you replay it over and over in your mind. But when your dreams show you what's possible, you hesitate. You question yourself. You wonder if you're good enough. You ask whether it'll ever happen. Somewhere along the way, we started believing our fears more than our purpose, our doubts more than our vision, our excuses more than our potential. But here's the truth. Neither your dreams nor your fears know the future. Both are asking you to believe in something that hasn't happened yet. So if you're going to put your faith somewhere, put it into the life you're working to build. Put it into your purpose. Put it into the person you're becoming. Because the direction of your life is determined by what you choose to believe before you ever see the results. So the next time your mind creates the worst-case scenario, don't immediately argue with it. Instead, ask yourself 3 questions. Is this actually happening right now? What evidence do I have that this is guaranteed? And what is another possible outcome? Because most of the time, fear only shows you one version of the future, the worst one. Your job is to remind yourself that there are other possibilities. But here's where it gets deeper. A lot of people don't struggle because they don't believe in their dreams. They struggle because they believe their fears faster. They give fear more attention, more emotion, more time. They spend 20 minutes imagining everything going wrong, but only a few seconds imagining everything going right. And whatever you consistently give your attention to starts becoming the story you live from. So start practicing something different. When you catch yourself thinking, what if I fail? Don't force yourself to say, I'm definitely going to succeed. Because if you don't believe that yet, your mind will reject it. Instead say, what if I learn something from this? What if this works out better than I expect? What if I'm more capable than I think? The goal isn't to become someone who never feels fear. The goal is to become someone who can feel fear and still move forward. Because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's realizing fear can come with you, but it doesn't get to decide where you go. And that's the difference between someone who stays trapped by their thoughts and someone who learns how to use their thoughts to create a different life.